What's going on, everybody? Zach back here with another episode of Clutch Crew Sports, and we are here on the long-awaited NFC South division episode. We've got a special guest on to talk about the Carolina Panthers. You're gonna have a blast with it. We also have myself and Connor gonna be getting into a little bit of a debate later on in the episode in the second half. It should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned, guys. Let me introduce you to the rest of the crew.
What's going on, guys? It is Connor, the co-host with the most. And you see, if you're watching on YouTube, I made some alterations to my slide. I added a lot more stuff to it, so I'm liking the way it looks. I still like that nice centerpiece, that Jeopardy trophy that I'm still holding on to back over here. But I'm excited to do this episode. I'm excited to finally debate Zach on this topic that we've been disagreeing about for a few months now, and I'm excited to have our special guest to talk about the Panthers, so I'll let him introduce himself now.
Hey, Clutch Crew fans, this is Arron Swarm here. If you guys remember me, I was on one of the past episodes in the past. We had a lot of fun talking about the Carolina Panthers there. I'm so blessed and happy to be back with these awesome, amazing guys that I contact on the daily. So, guys, without further ado, we're going to get into this, and we're going to talk about how I feel about the Panthers this year and what they could do or what they possibly cannot do. But I'm hyped, and I'm pumped for this, guys. Hopefully, we get an NFL season. I'm happy for it. Let's get into it.
Same, man. Same. And just give our listeners a little bit of advice on where they can find your creative content.
All right, so the Clutch Crew fans, you guys can find me on Arron Swarm TV. Just let you know that might change in the future. I want to take off TV and just have Arron Swarm, which it was previously. Just keep that in mind. You can find me on Twitch Monday through Friday now, 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, live streaming Dead by Daylight, or Fall Guys, or just chatting sometimes, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links if you guys are into that on Fridays. It'll be only on Fridays. You can also find me on Twitter at Arron Swarm. That's it. And yeah, just trying to put out content. Also, I do film too, so you guys can see that on YouTube as well. You can check that at that'll be on HT Grain that'll be my partners, but it's on there. So if you guys want to check that out as well, yeah, that's
very cool.
Things that you guys can find me on.
Yeah, man. Of course, we met you originally through your podcast, which is no more, unfortunately, now.
Sorry.
But you still have your Twitch channel running almost daily, so that's a great place to get some live Arron Swarm content. Always great. All right, so we'll move in now to the episode, and we're going to start off, of course, with the Carolina Panthers. And before I ask you any questions here on this list, Aaron, I just want to know, how long have you been a Panthers fan, and what caused you to become a Panthers fan?
Oh, that's a good question. Zach. So, guys, we'll go back when once upon a time when I was a little baby P, back 2005. So obviously that would make me 10. I started liking the Panthers back then. I was trying to get into sports as a whole. I was like, because I was watching NFL with my dad for the most part growing up. So I was like, yo, he's a 49ers fan? Okay. So I just started getting into it, and it really intrigued me. And then I'm like, I don't know what team would I like. Obviously, you're 10-year-old boy. You just look at the Panther and be like, oh, God, it's a cat. Ooh, let me like it. so basically, that's how it was. It became to be. When I was forced to kill on a Panthers fan, I really wasn't, because I liked the freaking logo back then. Plus, as I got a chance to know the players like Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, Mike Rucker, Jake Delhomme, Musa Muhammad, going back to those guys, Stephen Davis. And I started playing the games, NFL 205 on PlayStation 2. I started learning the game better, and that's when I became a true Carolina Panthers fan around 2007, 2008 season. And then I was been ever since. I just love the ownership that's taken over for the Panthers right now, and David Temper. I think he's going to do right for this team. To the end of the day, I hope that he's not like Jerry Jones. No offense to all you Cowboy fans, I'm sorry. I wanted him to let Marty Horney, the GM, make decisions and stuff like that. And now I'm gonna get into questions a little more, so I'm gonna stop and we'll let Zach take it over.
Okay. No, that's interesting. I wasn't sure if you because I know a lot of Panthers fans became fans with the Cam Newton era, but it's interesting that you were you were with
Dick
the team
Malone
before
era.
that. You
Yeah.
saw some of the bad times before Cam Newton.
Yes, and I'm still there. And we're still in bad times, but I'm still there. I was with the Dick Malone time.
Trust me,
He was
I
my
grew
favorite.
up. I grew up with those bad times living in North Carolina too. Like that's when the Panthers were still just like a brand new franchise almost too. It's just like crazy.
Yeah. So
it's crazy to think that they've been around for like over like almost 25 years now.
Yes, same age that I am now. They came out.
That is cool. Yeah, that's cool that they're the same age as you are. So my first question though for you is it's a broad question, but what are your general expectations for the Panthers this season?
Well, great question. So we all know the Brady drama. We know the Tom Brady drama. We know where he landed. We know where he's at. The Buccaneers got better 100%. The Saints got better 100%. The Falcons, no. So I think the two teams would be good this year would be the Buccaneers and the Saints would obviously, obviously Saints are always there in the season. So that's not a that's a given. Buccaneers is not always a given. It has been for the last like 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever. But I would say that they'll be a lot better this year. So my expectation for my team this year is not high at all. I'm just happy to see these young guys and see what they can do. Especially our draft picks. We selected all defense first time ever, I think, in the NFL draft. If I'm mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Which I love some of these players that we got in the draft, like a first round pick, Derek Brown. The guy is a beast. He reminds me of K'Wan Short. He also reminds me of what's his name, Reggie White. I know I'm stretching there. because he hasn't played the NFL snap ever yet. But I'm stretching. But anyways, I got high hopes for that guy. I'm just happy with the young talent we got on freaking defense, man. That Montos kid out of Penn State. Oh my God, that guy's if he develops the can be. So I definitely dig our draft class. I think DJ Moore is going to have a good season. I think Terry Bridgewater is going to have a good season. So my expectation overall for this guys is not high at all. I'm just looking to see these young guys perform and develop into what's going to be a core team that could definitely make some noise because Tom Brady is old. The GOAT is old. He's not going to last longer there. Breeze is about to be up, and then Matt Ryan's about to be up. So the only one that I think that will be awesome good right now would be us going 5 to 10 years from now because of Bridgewater's still young, even though we will probably draft a rookie quarterback this year or next year. And I'm hyped because of all the other quarterbacks in this NFL South division is not young, and you have nobody else behind the roster on the depth chart that can actually say, "Wow, this is gonna be good for another 5-10 years." So I'm so happy seeing these three teams to get old and outdated, and Carolina Panthers younger than a freaking Buck Wild, Yeah, that's my expectations.
Okay, yeah. So young team that's going to have some growing pains, but in the long run, you think that this experience is going to help them just to get playing time as young players, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's going again, like I said, you got the three other teams in the NFL South that's already aging. They're getting up there. Matt Ryan is almost 35, if not 36. You got Breeze that's almost in his 40s. You got, like I said, Tom Brady that's like, oh God, that guy keeps playing in a wheelchair. But yeah, it's they're getting up there, and none of those teams I just named, those three other teams have any other young quarterback behind them that looks like, wow, this is gonna be the franchise quarterback. So they're gonna have down years to get somebody tough there. And I think that once the Panthers get where they want to go and get these young guys developed and into core value guys, and we get the K1 short contract, it's gonna be like hell for the Falcons, the Saints, and the Buccaneers on that one.
Okay, cool stuff there. Now I'm going to ask you the second question. You can give an answer for the offensive side and the defensive side, but who are maybe specifically some of those young people that you're really excited for on your team on both sides, offense and defense?
I'm thinking about the draft class right now. I do like I said, I do like that round pick, the 5th round pick. What's his name? Oh my God, I can't remember. He's out of West Virginia. Kenny. you guys know, oh my god, I can't think of his name right now. Kenny, I know his first name is Kenny, I can't think of his last name. But he was a sleeper. A lot of people think that he could have went lower. They think that if he do develop, he will be a good safety. I am happy with the second round pick that we traded up to get Jeremy Chen. Those two safeties, I'm hyped for, especially Jeremy Chen. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm really hyped about him. I think I'm not putting this out there again. I think he could be a above average, but like I said, my expectation is not going to go high. But he could develop to that superstar safety that we never really had. We never had a superstar safety ever in our franchise. Mike Minter, back in the day, back in the '90s, mid '90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. But still, I don't think we really didn't have a safety that was really like, oh my God, this guy is a threater. So I would say if he does develop, we got ourselves a freaking steal, even though that we traded up to go get him now. So that's for defense. Offense, we really suck in the offensive guys, but we did go out and get Bobby Anderson out of New York. He's still young. He's like 26. He's still young. He really had some good years. I think he had one good year in New York, but he really is yet to blossom as that number one or number two solid wideout. So I would say this is the year for him to, after signing that 2-year, I think $23 million deal with us. I think he needs to go ahead and show what he was capable of and what the Jets drafted him to be. With that, but I'm gonna, even though I said Bobby Brown, I'm actually gonna switch my gears. I'm gonna say DJ Moore because he's still young. He had a couple good seasons in his rookie and sophomore year. This is his junior year. He needs to show that he could be the number one. I think I'd rather DJ be number one and Bobby Anderson develops into a solid number two. So that's my offensive defense.
Well, if DJ Moore is any indication of how, when I've played with him in Madden when I was the Panthers, then he's going to turn out to be awesome because I broke all the receiving records with DJ Moore in Madden. So
I still think he's going to be, because he was. Everybody's comparing to the Panthers should have took Calvin Ridley or DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is the better one there. Just the simple fact is that Calvin has some injuries. Well, DJ haven't had anything setting him back right now. It's just been the quarterback situation that was sending him back.
And of course, when all else fails, all the fantasy owners are going to like this. Run CMC. Still got the best running back in football.
I'm glad we signed him. You don't get me freaking started. I'm glad we signed him to that massive contract. We got 6 years with the guy because he had 2 years left, and we give him a 4-year sentence. So I guess that, am I right, guys? That does contact on to the 2 years that he had left, right? Technically, it's a 6-year deal.
It's an extension. So he's got his current contract, and then that's the extra 4 years. So he would finish that the first 2 years. This year, next year, then that's when the 4 years will kick in, basically. Got it. Yep. All right, Connor, you wanna tell question number 3 to Aaron?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, you talked about this a little bit before, and when you were talking about the Panthers, that you don't have too high hopes for them, but you're glad they're young. So out of those division rivals, I guess particularly in your case with the Saints and Buccaneers, but also the Falcons, what scares you the most about those teams?
That's a good question. I would say the Buccaneers scare me. Just because of like I said, we know they got Tom Brady. He can still sling that. He can sling that shit like butter. But I would say OJ Howard's gonna break out this year. I'm scared of him. I'm really scared of OJ Howard this year. I think he's really gonna turn into what he was supposed to be, being a first round pick that he slid it down. I would say Mike Evans is gonna still be his normal self, but since Brady's down, he likes to spread the ball around. I could see Evans' numbers dropping. I could see OJ's going up because he loves tight ends. So I'm scared of that. The Saints, on the other hand, it's the same thing every year. I'm always scared of the Saints, but I think with the saga going around with Breeze, I think that kind of hurt the team's chemistry a little bit. So they're still a threat, but I don't think that they're a major threat like the Buccaneers are. And I would say the Falcons. The Falcons are in the basement like us. I have no. It's gonna be who's gonna play for a top pick in between the Falcons and us. I'm sorry, Falcons fans. You guys ain't doing nothing. You guys got a defense that's depleted. You guys got a quarterback that's older, that's getting old as dirt. He really hasn't really proved himself other than choking in the Super Bowl. But anyways, yeah, I'm talking a lot of smack. But I'm just being honest. But yeah, so that's my deal for the Buccaneers is the one I'm circling this year. Unless Brady shows his age, then I'm looking at the Saints. But other than that, if Brady doesn't show his age and he has a good start of the beginning of the year, look for the Buccaneers to try to take the division from the Saints. Just like I said, the Panthers is not winning the division. Not the division. I could see if one of these, if the Saints or the Buccaneers slip, if they actually have slip and Carolina can stay on their feet, could probably sneak in as a 8-8 wild card. That can happen. That's possible. That's doable. I'm not, like I said, we're going back to the expectations, even though I'm talking, about who I was scared about. But I would definitely say, realistically, Panthers ain't going nowhere this year. We'll be playing for the first overall pick. But yeah, that's my who I'm scared mostly about is those Bucks, man.
Okay, yeah. And so I think most people could probably guess your 1 to 4 predictions for the division, but go ahead and rank the teams in the division from best to worst.
Right now, I'll say even though the Buccaneers got better, the Saints is still there. So it'll be Saints, Buccaneers, Falcons, my team.
Okay.
Honestly, so I'll put the Saints number 1, Buccaneers number 2, Falcons number 3, and Panthers number 4. Just because we're a lot younger. Even though the Falcons is depleted, we're a lot younger with less experience. The Falcons still have some experience on that roster. We don't hardly. Even though Teddy Bridgewater has some things, he has been injury prone. So I would say defense is very very young back there. Even the pass rushers other than K. Wanshort and a couple others. So I would say I'll put us last. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, that's honesty right there from a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we get into the debate between Connor and myself, I've got a couple of these mini questions for you to answer, just more about your fandom with the Panthers and stuff. But pick a favorite player if you have one right now on the current team. Who would be your favorite player?
If I don't say this, I think the Carolina Panthers fans would definitely choke me out. Obviously, it has to be my man CMC, man. I love that guy. Even though I didn't follow him too much in college, my friend did, and he was disappointed at the Eagles. I knew he was not going to drop down the Eagles. The Eagles had a 14th pick that year. If the Chargers were not going to take him, if he wasn't taken 4th overall, and he wasn't taken 7th, who do you think was going to take him? So that's how I was picturing it, and he dropped to us, and we was lucky to get him. And I'm glad we did because he is my favorite player. I would be honored to meet that guy, just in person because he's just so humble and even though he got paid that major contract, he was still like, yo, even though this is my team, this is us, man. Why not us? So I love his attitude, and he knows we're going to be in a rebuilding stage. He knows we're not going anywhere for the next 3 to 5 seasons. And he wants to play his career, his best years in Carolina because of after this contract's up, after 6 years is up, he's technically because he's 20, he's my age, 23, 24. If not, I think you're still 28. He's going to be 29. Going 30, age 30, and normally people know as the running back starting to decrease. Adrian Peterson has some words about that, but I still think that he can still play at the age 30, 31. So if he does, he's going to play his rest of his prime with us. Hopefully, he'll play the rest of his career with us. I'll be happy to see him play as a Carolina Panther, retire as a Panther.
All right, so CMC's your favorite current player.
Yep.
The Panthers have had a lot of great players in their history. Luke Kuechly, Cam Newton, Steve Smith are some that come to mind for me. But if you had to pick your all-time favorite player, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say this because he jumped off my head, and the dude was freaking unstoppable. Luke Kuechly, just because this is why. Because of the fact is that guy had a motor. You slam in the neck, the guy would eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I would say that's why I choose Luke Kuechly. The fact is he was never out of a tackle. If he was, that was slim to none. He had shown it's like this guy has like I said going back. The guy has a motor. Like you gotta really cry chop his behind for him to go down. Like literally, obviously that's the penalty. You can't do that. So it's like he was in every play. I remember when we drafted him 9th overall. I'm like, this cat's gonna be good. I just got a gut feeling. Like I even said at the TV, I'm like, yo, this guy is. Oh yeah. So I would say he's my all-time favorite. Would he see a Hall of Fame? Probably not. The numbers are there. Just he doesn't have a ring. He retired way too young. Just because of there was some things behind why, and I got a feeling that why, but we probably said it for another day. Yeah, I hope that he does get into Hall of Fame because I think because nobody, I have not seen a player ever, even Brian Urlacher, I haven't seen a player like Kuechly like that ever, and have that high motor and still be able to make tackles. Like he can come from left field and still tackle you. So yeah.
Connor, do you think Luke's gonna make the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Connor. What do you think?
That's a very good question. I mean, it's unfortunately for Kuechly, I don't know how good it looks for him, just because I'm kind of going off of like what happened with Patrick Willis this year for the Hall of Fame, because Willis was kind of the same way. He had like a fantastic career, but he retired so soon, and obviously Willis didn't have a ring either, and so not having that longevity, I think, is really going to hurt him, because even with Patrick Willis this year, like I don't know if I thought he was going to make it, but I thought that he was going to at least be one of the guys that like they were really considering. But then they didn't even announce him as a finalist. Like when they got to the decision to like pick the 15 finalists, Willis wasn't even one of them. I thought that was really surprising. So unfortunately, it doesn't look good for Luke Kuechly. So I mean, he's definitely I don't know. It's going to be hard. If he does, it's going to take a long time, I think, unfortunately.
I agree.
Just because of the fact that he retired so soon. Like if he had played a few more seasons, I don't think he would have needed that ring. But the fact that he retired at age 28 or 29 is really going to hurt his chances.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on. I'm not trying to cut you guys off. I'm gonna piggyback on Connor right quick. I'm going on a tangent. I totally agree with Connor on 100% there. The fact is, if he like Connor would say, if he did play 2 more years and had over 1,000 tackles each, or even come close to it, I think definitely shoe in Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. I'm not being biased. I'm being realistic. I don't think he gets in just because of the fact he retired so young. I'm sorry to tell you that, fellow Carolina Panthers fans, but that's listening. But that's just facts. Unless it takes time, like Connor was saying, it's going to take up to 10 years anyways, because you have to wait 10 years before you're eligible. But I think if it's going to happen, it's going to take somebody to look at the numbers and really dissect it. But I definitely think he needed at least another season to get at least 20 tackles.
Yeah. I'm actually going to disagree with you guys. I do think he's going to make
Zach's disagreeing with me.
Well, this is a good disagreement for Panthers fans, but I do think he's going to make it. I don't think it'll be on the first ballot, but
oh, for sure, yeah.
He was just so dominant for a decade, and he's going to make the all-decade team, and he was really probably between him and Bobby Wagner 1-2 best linebackers for the decade. I think that's going to be enough to get him in. I do think eventually he will get in. It's going to take some time, I think, a little bit of time, but I do like his chances, actually, just because of how dominant. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year. He always
Defensive
had
Player of the Year one time.
Yeah, he has all
a lot of Pro Bowls, like 10, I think, 9 Pro Bowls, 10 Bowls, something
That's
like
the thing. Yeah. That's the thing is his whole career he was productive. It wasn't like it took him a couple of years to get the ball rolling. So I think because of that, I think it gives him a good chance to get in, but you never know with the Hall of Fame. I've been waiting for a Jaguar in, and they still haven't put a Jaguar in yet.
You've still been waiting for Tony Vaselli. Well, I mean, I think the key for him really is going to be he's going to have to go in one of those years where there's like not a huge amount of first time people that could make it, because obviously this upcoming season, it's like, I'm trying to think of who are going to be like the first time Hall of Famers this season. It's going to be like, obviously Peyton Manning is going to be,
that's a shoe-in.
Charles Woodson, is he?
Right, yeah.
That's a shoe-in. That's a shoe-in.
I think it's Charles Woodson. So he's going to have to find one of these years that, that it doesn't have a lot of these first-time people coming in that are either shoe-ins like Peyton Manning or Charles Woodson, or people that are, have a good chance. Like Reggie Wayne last year had a good chance to make it in, even though he didn't. So it's going to have to be one of those years like that where there's not a whole lot of people like that, in my opinion.
All right, so moving on now to the final mini question here. Aaron, how would you rate the offseason moves for the Panthers They lost a lot of people like Kuechly and Greg Olsen come to mind, Cam Newton as well. But they also did bring in a new quarterback. They had that draft. They brought in a new coach. In general, how would you rate the moves with the coach and the draft and in the free agency?
Oh, you did it to me, Zach. You did it to me. All honesty, when I was seeing the moves being made and they was dropping like flies, I'm like, crap, what is this owner doing? But I know he had a plan. So I'm sitting and I'm watching. So honestly, C plus off season. It's because we lost so many pieces. Greg Olsen, we should have kept him. Just because to have veteran presence is the best on a young squad like that. Newton, I don't know what happened there. That was a little wishy washy. I think the fact is that I don't think Joe Brady, our new offense coordinator, didn't want him, or Matt Rule didn't want him. It was one or the other. I don't know there, but I think that was wrong. I think Cam should have had a chance to have another season with us to see what he possibly could do. But $21 million on a rebuilding squad, it kind of stings on the pay books. So I kind of see why that they made that cut. But I do like the Teddy Bridgewater signing. I think he is a little bit more accurate than Cam on a certain level because I've seen him practicing on Facebook the last couple of days with video. His throws are more on point. Never down Cam. I'm definitely for Cam. I'm a Cam lover, Panthers fans. Don't bring your pitchforks and hand grenades, please. Okay. I'm totally happy with Pittsburgh and Carolina. I just think that he was just got robbed of having the chance to finish his career there. But I'm happy with Bridgewater. I'm happy with the team's moves. But I don't think that they deserve to be just because the team's young. We don't have a lot of veteran players. We let them go. So I'll say a C plus, and that will go up because of these young guys. Some of these guys, you're not gonna hit like this is about. Okay, listen, this is about something with people that are prospects. Okay, you don't know if you're gonna hit, you're gonna miss. Okay, if you might miss on the first round pick. You might hit on the fifth round pick. Okay, so it's like it's not every time that you draft somebody that's not guaranteed that you're gonna be getting a good, solid, raw, good, hungry bulldog player. So
Gotta say that there, right there.
yeah, basically. So it's like you don't know. But at the end of the day, I think that I think they did enough things this season to earn my C plus, just because I love the future. The future's bright with everything nice.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking for the future. I know we're about here and now, like going back to my expectations in the high at all. So they deserve a C plus with all the
yeah. I think that's fair for sure.
That's pretty fair.
Let's get in now to the debate. Connor and I are going to be debating the Bucs and the Saints, and
I guess we should talk about our division predictions slightly first. I guess we should talk about what we think about the other two very quickly.
Okay, yeah. So obviously the Bucs and Saints will be 1 and 2 for in various orders between Connor and myself, but I agree with Aaron. I have the Falcons at 3rd, and I've got the Panthers at 4th.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The Falcons at 3rd, the Panthers at 4th. I mean, the Panthers, it's definitely something that could, if they can develop all these young players, it could turn into something. But there's just too much unprovenness on the team. Like, can Teddy Bridgewater do it for a full season? They don't have a tight end anymore because of Greg Olsen retiring. And obviously on the defense, like, I will say this about the Panthers. They have the potential to have probably one of, if not the best defensive lines in the NFL next season, like with Brian Burns, Derek Brown, K'Wan Short, and Yuta Gross-Matos. Like, if Brown and Gross-Matos develop really well to pair with Burns and Short, that is going to be a scary, scary defensive line. Now, obviously, the issues lie in mostly the secondary, but also with the linebackers. Is can Shaq Thompson come up and be the guy now that Luke Kuechly's retired? So just a lot of unprovenness. And then the Falcons, obviously, I'm going to say this now, I'm not going to pick them to win the Super Bowl again this year like I did last year. I mean, it seems like it's going to be the question for the Falcons every year is like, can they stay healthy? Because if they stay healthy, I think they have a good shot to maybe do something, like maybe compete for a wild card position or something like that. But it seems like every year, like four or five people get injured, and then they turn into a 6-10 team again. So even though they've got all the talent in the world, so I guess I'll just put them at number 3 this time and not make a fool out of myself and pick them to win the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I do want to piggyback on kind of just one little side thing. Olsen was released and signed with Seattle on a 1-year deal, $9 million. Just put that out there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to Seattle, so they're cooking up something for this year for
But
sure.
I totally 100% agree with Connor on that statement. Is the fact is that it's unproven, but that Matos kid's like I like him a lot. Really do.
All right, so the Bucs and the Saints. All right, everybody strap in for this one.
Who's got the Mortal Kombat like round 1? Fight!
Fight!
Yeah, so I was pretty confident in this as soon as I heard the Tom Brady signing. As soon as that was confirmed, I said the Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South. And so far after that signing, all the moves that the Buccaneers have made and some of the blunders by the Saints have just confirmed in my head that that's what's going to happen. The Buccaneers are going to win the division. And really, it's because of the quarterback change. I mean, here's the crazy thing. The Buccaneers went 7-9 last year, of course. And with Jameis Winston, surprisingly, they actually had a chance to make the playoffs, but they had a lot of close losses, 2 overtime losses to Seattle and Atlanta. They lost by 3 points at the end of the year to Houston in a meaningless game. They didn't really try to win. There was that heartbreaker loss to the Giants early in the season. Winston played terrible down the stretch of that game. They had a big lead and choked, and they only lost by 4 points to Tennessee. So they really had a good season last year, just a lot of close losses, and those sort of deals can get flip-flopped from year to year. You can see a team win a lot of close games, and then the next year they lose all their close games and vice versa. So I don't really look at that as a negative trend. I don't think they're losers or whatever. I don't think that they think they're losers. I think really the biggest change for the Buccaneers is Tom Brady and just the wisdom, the stability, all the stuff that he brings, not even physically to the field, is going to help this team out. This team has never won anything. They've never won the division or been in the playoffs for a decade, and they're really hungry. And Tom Brady has been to won 6 Super Bowls. We all know that. And he's going to bring that experience to this team. He's going to bring that leadership, all the stuff that worked up in New England for him. He's bringing all his secrets down. He's already made connections with all the receivers. Gronk's there. Obviously, he knows him from New England. But basically, Tom is going to be the leader of this team, and he's going to just totally change the life that they had. Because with Jameis Winston, it was, let me just chuck the ball down the field and see who catches it. And 30 times last year, it was the other team that caught it, and a lot of those were pick sixes. And
Defensive Player of the Year right there.
When you throw a pick six, it's just, for the whole team, it's just a big letdown. The defense is like, gosh, we're not even on the field and the other team scored. The offense is like, my God, we just gave them. It's just so terrible. 30 interceptions by Jameis. Granted, he did, when you throw those deep balls down the field, you get some here and there. So he had a lot of yards. He had a lot of touchdowns. But this offense is solid. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they're already proven made men receivers. They're not, we were talking with the Panthers, a lot of unproven stuff there. These guys are Pro Bowl, made men wide receivers, bona fide stars that you have on the outside. 2 of them on the outside is rare in the National Football League. And then when you get to the middle of the field with the tight ends, you have the best set of tight ends, in my opinion, in the NFL. You have so much depth at this position with 3 tight ends that would be number ones on a lot of teams, in my opinion. And that's, of course, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, and Gronk. And a lot of the haters and stuff are going to be like, oh, Gronk retired and everything. He's still only 31 years old. He was bruised up a lot in his career. And I think having a year off, just leaving New England, that rigid system that they have with Belichick. I think he just needed that mentally and physically for his body and mind. And I think now in Tampa, he's going to be so much better. And the thing is he doesn't have to be the old Gronk too, because with OJ Howard and with Brate, they can split the load. They can go 2 tight end sets with interchanging those 3 tight ends, and they all have different skill sets. And at the very least, I still think Gronk can be a good blocker as well. So you have OJ Howard, a main receiving tight end, and you can have Gronk as a better blocking tight end. It's just along with the chemistry, he already knows Brady's going to know what Gronk's going to do. He's still going to be kind of figuring that stuff out. The start of the season might be rough with the Buccaneers. Brady's got to figure out his teammates, of course. No preseason, that hurts them. But eventually they're going to get the gears clicking. And it is a long season, 16 games. Not 17 yet, but I love the offense. And let me get to the defense real quick before I go over to hear Connor's side about the Saints. But the defense, I think the defense gets really underrated because you look at the scoreboard and you look and see, oh, they gave up 30 points. They gave up 28 points. Really? Did they? Because Jameis Winston threw all those pick sixes that they weren't on the field actually contributing to. And also just the turnovers in general, with all those turnovers that Jameis Winston committed. There was a lot of short fields for the Buccaneers to defend, and it was tough for them to do that. I trust Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator. Really, the whole coaching staff I'm in love with for the Bucs. I think they're great fits for the Buccaneers. And Todd Bowles, he makes this defense better every single year. He's not a great head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he definitely can develop these young guys. And the defensive line's the strength of this team. I mean, Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, JPP, Vita Vea across that defensive line. It's a good mix of pass rush and run defense. Vita Vea and Sue are bona fide run stoppers in the middle of that defensive line. Those guys are, well, Vita's young. And Sue's had some injury problems as well. But if those guys can stay healthy, man, that's a tough team to run against. And then on the outside, you've got JPP, who they brought back for a hometown discount, and Sack Barrett, as I like to call him. He's just going to get sacks. That's what he does. So you got pass rush. The linebackers, Levante David, most underrated linebacker in this league. Nobody talks about him, but he goes to the Pro Bowl every single year. You've got him. He's the veteran presence on this defense. And Devin White, too, in the middle. He's coming into his second year. He had a really strong rookie season. I expect him to only get better. He's a high character, high leader type of guy. He's going to be great for the middle of this defense. And then in the secondary, probably the weakest part, but still this team got better in the draft, drafting Antoine Winfield Jr. out of Minnesota. He's going to fill a safety spot for them. They've also got Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean, who Jamel Dean only started in 5 games last year and did get 2 interceptions. So the secondary in the second half of the season, Carlton Davis is there too. They really just got tremendously better, and they're going to get better with more experience. And the defensive line is going to help them out. Trust me, when those sacks start to come in, it's going to make it a lot easier for the defense, the secondary especially, to play better. And it's really just experience with these guys. Nobody knows who they are, but they're rookies. They're young. They're hungry. Second-year guys, third-year guys, ready to make a name for themselves in this league. And I'm just in love with this defense in general. I think this offense is probably one of the best in the NFL right now. So with all those things going on, the Saints, I don't really have too much bad to say about the Saints other than I do think that Drew Brees is going to start to decline a little bit. The comments he made in the summer, I think, are going to have some teammates a little wary of him. You know, there's a little bit of friction still there with the Saints and Drew Brees. So I don't have so much bad to say about the Saints, but it's more pro Buccaneers. Like, I still think the Saints will be good. They're going to be a challenge, but I just think Tampa is more talented overall. So I've talked for long enough. Let's hear what Connor's got to say about the Saints.
Yeah, so obviously, if you couldn't figure out from Zach's little spiel there that he's pro Buccaneers and I'm on the side of the Saints. If you actually watched, I can't remember which episode it was now. It was a couple episodes ago that I actually came out and added to my locks that I'm locking that the Saints are going to win the NFC South. And mainly because I just think they have the best all-around team in the NFC South. And also, I mean, I think a lot of this debate really is about the Buccaneers. I don't think there's too much debate between Zach and I about the Saints, other than maybe Drew Brees, that like we both agree that they're a really good team. I think most of the debate comes down to the Buccaneers, but I'll start with the Saints. I mean, Drew Brees is still Drew Brees. I mean, even at 41 years old, he was still fantastic last year. I mean, I guess I'll talk a little bit about Tom Brady too when it comes to this. Tom Brady last year started to decline. We saw failing numbers from him, whereas Drew Brees, even though he got injured and didn't play all the games, he still, put up numbers and still contributed. Now, obviously, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas are Pro Bowlers. They're all pros. Jared Cook's a fantastic tight end. Now, and also, I think one big key for the New Orleans Saints is their offensive line. They have 3 Pro Bowlers on that offensive line, with the 2 tackles, Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk, and also the left guard of Andrus Peat are all Pro Bowlers. They do have a new right guard that they drafted this year, but when 3 of the offensive linemen are Pro Bowlers, I think that's good enough. They can kind of cover for each other. Eric McCoy was solid last year at center, so there should be no issues with Drew Brees, getting sacked every 5 seconds. Then also, kind of like the Bucs defense, another underrated defense with the Saints. I mean, Cameron Jordan and Sheldon Rankins are great defensive linemen. The secondary is where the strength is, though, with Marshawn Lattimore, Janoris Jenkins, and the acquisition of Malcolm Jenkins in the offseason really boosts that safety core. I mean, I think it's going to be really hard for teams to throw on the Saints, especially. It's going to be, if they're going to get it done, they're going to have to get it done on the ground, which in a pass-heavy league, you're not going to see that too often. So definitely good for the Saints there. Now, talking about the Bucs, is really obviously where I have a lot of problems is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said about Tom Brady, I mean, 43 years old, he started to decline last year. And I think even though he's going to come in and this is going to be his team, like he's going to be the leader of the team, Brady has not played in a different system his entire career. He's been playing under Bill Belichick for 20 seasons. Like, when you have that structure and that stability of just the one system, I mean, he did have to change offensive coordinators like once, but for probably all but 2 or 3 seasons of his, career, or for like a very large part of it, Josh McDaniels has been his offensive coordinator too. So while the head coach has been consistent, the OC has been consistent too. He's not been one of these, quarterbacks on a team that's had 5 different OCs in the last 10 years. So when you have that rigidity and that stability, it's very difficult to change into a new system. And especially with the circumstances surrounding this season, the fact that he's not going to have a preseason to prepare and really get used to that system, I think we're going to see a lot of rust from Tom Brady at the start of the year. And I think his age is also, his age started to show last year, and I think it's going to show even more so this year. Now, I have nothing bad to say about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They are both fantastic wide receivers. My only concern with the wide receiver core, really for both teams, actually, the Saints and the Buccaneers, is the depth at that position. The Buccaneers and the Saints really don't have a true number 3 wide receiver, like either of them. So if one of them gets hurt, like if Michael Thomas gets hurt or if Chris Godwin gets hurt, there's no one to really step up and take that position, to take the pressure off of the number 2 guy. So that's the only issue I have there. Other than that, they're fantastic. The tight ends, I think the tight ends are being a little blown out of proportion. With Gronkowski, I actually think it's while Zach was saying he thinks it's a benefit to Gronk that he sat out a year, I think it's a big hamper when you sit out a year from professional sports, especially at the highest level. I mean, other than maybe Michael Jordan, there's really no one else that you can say that officially retired, sat out a whole season and came back and was the same player. So I still think he's going to be a great blocker, like Zach said, but he's definitely not going to be the contributor in the passing game. And he's fragile. He's been injured so many times in his career that he's definitely fragile and easy, especially when you're not in that football shape. It makes you even more prone to injury. O.J. Howard, I think, is quite overrated. Having said this from personal experience of having him on my fantasy team last year and thinking that he was going to be fantastic, I can't tell you how many tight ends I went through last season in fantasy because O.J. Howard just did not perform. Obviously, it didn't help that Jameis Winston was throwing it all, deep balls down the field, but I still think he's overrated given his performance last year. Cameron Brate is a solid number 2 for sure. I don't think he's a number 1, but definitely the 3 tight ends is helpful. I just don't think they're all what they're cracked up to be. And then obviously I'll get then the 2 biggest weaknesses on the offense, the running game and the offensive line. I mean, they drafted Tristan Wirfs, but who knows how good he's really going to be. And when Tom Brady is back there getting sacked 3 or 4 times a game, that's not good for a 43-year-old quarterback to be taking hits every 5 seconds. So the offensive line is going to be a huge issue. And also having no running game. Obviously, this is a pass-heavy league, and they've got the receivers and the tight ends, but having that running game really gives you a second dimension to your offense. I think it's what really turned the Saints around, really, was when they finally got Mark Ingram and they finally had a running game to back up Drew Brees, because Drew Brees was still out there throwing 5,000-yard seasons, but the Saints could never go anywhere because they were having to rely so much on that passing game. But when they got Mark Ingram and then now, of course, Alvin Kamara, that really turned them around and they really started becoming perennial Super Bowl contenders, really. I mean, I know they've had their issues in the playoffs, but they still became perennial Super Bowl contenders. So my main problems with the Buccaneers are definitely the offense. The defense, I will say, is, like Zach said, underrated. The front 7 is outstanding. I don't think I have anything bad to say about any of the front 7. I mean, Shaq Barrett was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year. I think him and TJ Watt, I think TJ Watt maybe had one more vote when it came to second and third place. Obviously, Stephon Gilmore was the one who won it, but him and TJ Watt were neck and neck for that second place finish last year when it came to votes. I think TJ Watt had 13 votes and Barrett had 12. So obviously a fantastic player. Levante David is very underrated. Devin White, I remember back in the draft when 2 seasons ago when the Steelers got Devin Bush, and I was hoping that in some magical fantasy world that Devin White was going to fall to the Steelers, but obviously that didn't happen. So we lost out on him. And then it's just really the secondary, like Zach said, that's weaker. If the secondary can't hold up, then teams are just in, again, pass-heavy league. The Saints' strength and the Buccaneers' weakness, the secondary. If teams are going to throw all over the Buccaneers, it's going to really wear out that defense, and I don't think the offense is going to be able to keep up with it. So that's my opinion on the Buccaneers and Saints. I don't know if Zach wants to come back and give me a counterpoint or anything on something.
No, I mean, honestly, I could, and then we could go again and again and again. We'd go on and on. Yeah.
Well, I guess the last thing I'll talk about is really, because I know you actually mentioned this in our Facebook chat when we were discussing this the first time, was the schedules of the 2 teams. Obviously, we don't know exactly how home and away is going to work right now. I mean, if they're still going to plan to do it under the regular way, have no sort of, confining teams, then it's really, they have very similar schedules. The only thing that the Saints have that's harder than the Buccaneers, in my opinion, is they have to play the 49ers, but they do get to play the 49ers at home. And both teams play the Chiefs and both teams play the Vikings. And those are both, again, home games. And they both play the Packers at home. So there's nothing really separating the schedules too much. I think the other one game that the Saints have that could be a little bit challenging is they have to go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles. But other than that, I think their schedules are very even. And I think it's really going to come down to, obviously, the head-to-heads between the two of them.
Yeah, they're in the same division, so their schedules are basically the same. The only difference is since the Saints finished them first, they have to play those 2 other first place opponents, and
right.
That would be Philly and San Francisco, whereas the Bucs get the Rams and I think the Giants or the Redskins.
They get the Giants.
Giants.
Which since they were in third place, so that's what I think that's the point that you were making, was the fact that the Saints had to play the 49ers and the Eagles, whereas the Bucs got to play the Rams. And the Giants.
So I mean, and here's the thing: it's this division could be decided by a game or 2 games or something like that, and any little bit of easier games that you get, I think everybody would say that the Giants and Rams are are better to play than the 49ers and Eagles.
Especially the Giants. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
The Rams are still kind of like, definitely playing the Giants is easier. So
that was my thing. I think this division might be between 1 or 2 games, and that's the difference maker. That could be the difference maker. You never know. The Saints did lose to the 49ers last year. Jimmy G won in New Orleans, actually, in a pretty high-scoring game. So you never know. The Bucs somehow lost to the Giants. I don't think that will happen again next year. But yeah, so that was my point about the schedule. But like I said, I could go back and forth with you. But Arron, you're sitting by on the sidelines. What do you think of what Connor and I just said?
Oh, you guys put me in this position again. You guys could both have solid good points. The fact is that I never look at it that way. Again, with everything going on this 2020 year, I haven't really kept up on sports as much, but I peek it now and then. So I never thought that the Saints have stronger secondary compared to the Bucs, but that two good solid points by two amazing people. So I would say the Buccaneers' weakness is what Connell said, is that secondary. If that secondary cannot get pressures on those the opposite team's wide receiver, it's gonna be tough, because like Connor was saying, Dominican Sue is not a Dominican like he was back when he was with the Lions in his prime years. Has a lot of mileage underneath that belt of his. They do have Vintavea, which that guy is going to be nuts. But the thing is, the defense line can only take so much. It's a pass heavy league. So if the secondary ain't holding up and the pressure can't get to the opposing quarterback, the secondary is going to get beat at the beat, and they're going to be like, dang. So yeah, basically, because especially with some of these in the division, like for example, DJ Moore, even though that we're not going to, if something happens drastically, we're not there, but we could still have good games against the Buccaneers secondary, especially with DJ Moore and this fast self. Then you got Michael Thomas, the other GOAT, and then you got Julio Jones, he's no slouch. So it's like you do got those other two top wide receivers at those other two people that you have to rush twice, home and away. So you definitely have a challenge there. The Saints, on the other hand, the strength is the Buccaneers' weakness, but with those linebackers and that front, I think that if there was a weakness for the Saints, I think that's the weakness is the defensive line. Cam Jordan's not bad. Richardson's not bad. Malcolm Brown, if they still got him, he's not bad. But I still think that if they can't get to the opposing quarterback, it could be, even if the secondary is good. How long can the secondary stand up? How long can Malcolm Jenkins be that guy that he was in his prime? Malcolm is getting older, so how long can he last? Inside a game where you're sitting there, you're getting, because last year I saw some Eagles games last year because my friends are, and it's like he was getting hit for long balls at the long balls, and you could see that he was getting fatigued. So how can he stand up? Only thing I can say is that the Saints' defense line is going to have to get to the opposing quarterback, even though that they do. All in all, though, secondary is good because of Marshawn Lattimore. But how about Malcolm Jenkins? Can he last a 16-game season again, knowing that his body is getting older after every year has went by? They're both two solid teams. The Buccaneers made some good challenges, some good changes. But going back to what Connor was saying, technically Gronk is in glass. He's in a glass case. One wrong move, he could be injured. That one off season could hurt him drastically. You got OJ Howard. I think he is somewhat overrated, but at the same time, I'm totally going to side with OJ Howard's side this time. The fact is he never ever had a quarterback that threw to him that's actually that good. So you can't blame him for being down and out, because of when you got a quarterback that's just throwing it up and hoping that God will go catch it. Then then yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Your number's going to be down. You're not going to get the fantasy points. What are you going to do? You really haven't had a true number one quarterback back to on the center to say hike and get him the ball. I think Tom Brady loves his tight ends. He's going to fall in love with his tight ends. So I could definitely see Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's that could also hurt to numbers drop a little bit. But I feel that O.J. Howard's his numbers is going to go up. I know that these tight ends ain't all cracked up to be, but I think this is O.J. Howard's time to shine. He finally got a quarterback that's on the center that all he loves is his freaking tight ends, especially tall ones that's 6'5", and 270. These were like 250 or 270 pounds of beef. Jeez, man. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So I think Tom Brady can still sling the ball down the field. I think Tom Brady is 43, so he's going to show that the offensive line is sucky. He doesn't have the New England offensive line that he has for the last 20 years, so I agree with that. But since they're going to let Brady do Brady, do you just have the Brady system? Hike, throw, hike, throw, hike, throw, hike, throw, no drop it, hike, throw, where he's just sitting there just the Tom Brady stuff that everybody can't stand. That's so successful to these guys off the street. So it's like go back to New England. So I think if they can do that and get the ball out of his hands quick, he will be successful because they know the offensive line is not the strong suit either. There's still uncertainties, but the Buccaneers still scare me well than the Saints just because of Breeze. The things that Breeze said, like I said, rubbed the people the wrong way, and then even though he has 3 out of 4 offensive linemen that's actually good, he's not going to be hit like every 5 seconds. But I still think that the Buccaneers have a good position there. Will if you can get Brady's ball out of his hands quicker than you could say pineapple, I still think that they could run the Saints for the money. Just only to take the division from the Saints. The secondary is going to develop over the year as the year goes by. They're not going to be. They can't give up big plays after big plays after big plays. That's the only thing. Same with the Saints. Even though they do got a pass, they somewhat got pass rush. I think if there was a weakness, that's one of the weaknesses. But I think the most weakness they got nobody after Michael Thomas. There other than Emmanuel Sanders. He is injury prone. He is fast, but can he stay healthy for a whole season? You might have mentioned Sanders. Okay, so it's like that's what you guys you got, and then you got Jared Cook. Well, could he still do what he did in Oakland, or and can he do what he did last year? That's plus Breeze is like we were saying, he is getting up there in age. It only takes one hit. It takes one person to hit Breeze, and it could put him out. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. I still think that the Saints obviously going to be there. And I think the Buccaneers going to be there. But I think whoever wins those early games, either the Saints beat the 49ers, they will most likely take the South. If they lose to the 49ers or the Eagles or both, then I think the Buccaneers has a chance to sneak in since they got the easiest schedule, the easiest 2 teams, the Rams and the Giants. So I would say it comes on these early games. You think the early games doesn't matter? They kind of do. Okay, you're in professional sports. The games in the beginning of the year kind of do matter. Some people think it's like, oh yeah, we'll win the next one. We'll win the next one. Yeah, those first 2 games can decide if you win the division or you lose it. So I would say the Saints beat the 2 tough teams in the first couple weeks of the schedule. They're going to win the division unless they slip up or somebody gets injured. One of the wide receivers gets injured. But other than that, I think if the Saints has a weakness, it's either going to be that defensive line or it's going to be that wide receiver core. Other than that, I can't see no other weaknesses in Saints. Buccaneers, we all know about the weaknesses there, so it's going to count on the early season.
Man, Aaron, you fit more stuff in like 7 or 8 minutes there than a lot of people could fit in an hour.
No, but I'm just being honest. We all got opinions here. Like I said, I'm not dishing Connor. It kind of has a good solid point. You got a good solid point. But like I said, these 2 teams do got weaknesses. The Saints is not solid across the board. I can't look at the Saints and say, oh my God, they're going to win the division. They're going to go all the way. I don't see that. I can see that, like I said, they got a good wide receiver in this prime, which is Michael Thomas, but they got nobody under him to complement him. Which the Buccaneers do got the tight ends to complement Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. If OJ Howard can be that solid 3 that Connor was talking about, yeah, and if anything happens to Sanders or Thomas, that's gonna be harsh for the Saints.
Yeah. All right. So we're running up to an hour now, so I'm gonna end it here. But yeah, hopefully you guys can pick a side, Saints or Bucks. Let us know in the comments who you agree with more. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully we get the season, man. I really hope we get the season for the NFL.
Same here.
And Aaron, thanks for being on, man. It was a lot of fun to have you back on our show for the second time. You provided a lot of great analysis there at the end and a lot of great Panthers analysis. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, man.
I can't thank you guys enough for having me on here. Hopefully, you Clutch Crew fans like myself out there, hopefully you guys, love this episode. Hopefully you guys will love to see me again. I would like to see you guys comment in the section if you guys will let me come. If you guys will want to have me back for a third time and in a future episode of talking about Panthers, because I love being here. I love talking with these guys. I love making episodes with these guys. Podcasts, talking sports is my thing as well. So hopefully, you fans out there will, again, you guys vote on it. If hopefully, I would definitely love to come back. I enjoy it. But anyway, thanks for having me, guys. And
no problem, man.
To the Clutch Crew fans out there that enjoys this.
We do have a lot of Panthers fans, so they might be requesting for you to come back.
Hopefully, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
Yep. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Remember, all right. Sorry, the weird ending here, but all right, guys. Take care and remember to be clutch.
Bye.
For Eric, peace.